What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are checking out Podcasting Business School. It's the podcast where I teach podcasters how to love their show like a hobby and build it like a business. And we are doing a podcast audit here today with my friend Brendan from the Will Work For podcast. We're going to dive in and talk about tips for audience growth, for monetization opportunities, and audience engagement. If you're down for some podcasting tips, you're in the right place. Brendan, welcome to the show, my man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Really excited just to talk about our thing and hear from you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of notes. I've got ideas as always. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your show and the ideal listener for your show specifically? And that's going to help me dial things in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we started the project like a lot of people during the beginning of the weird. You know, my co-host and I were both unemployed, furloughed, things like that, and so it was our check-in about like our own process. And so it was kind of just like, how do we navigate this space of unemployment? I think since then, you know, in the 2 years we've been doing it, it's shifted a little bit more of like thinking about the Great Resignation, thinking about a lot of people that are in spaces maybe that don't resonate with them, and they're looking to pivot, to move up, to apply themselves differently. So that seems to be a lot more of the listener and the focus that we have now is yes, if you're trying to get a job, but also like if you're just doing that evaluation piece of where am I and where do I want to be going? That's kind of our focus.
Okay. So with that, ideal listener in mind, where do you want to kick off the conversation today? Like we could talk about download ideas, we could talk about engagement ideas, we could talk about making money ideas. What's your hot button here for the conversation today?
I would love to talk about engagement. I think that's a space, especially for us as we continue to kind of push and drive. Like I would love to grow first and foremost, and then monetization as it comes as part of that. I think, but yeah, definitely connecting with the people that are listening is awesome.
Okay, so my go-to advice for somebody like yourself that really you're a true community builder, like that's what your audience is looking to you for. Like, all right, Brendan's out there, he's in this space, he's connected to all these other experts and people that have different resources for your listeners. So my challenge to you would be like, all right, when can we provide an opportunity for our community to be a community? All right. So that's the engagement like loophole that we need to crawl through. And a lot of podcasters, I get the emails, every week. It's like, bro, I'm doing all the marketing. I'm doing I email and I ask them, hey, give me some feedback. And no one ever gives me any feedback.
Right. Yeah.
My mom emails me and that's it. So we really need to look for opportunities to, activate them and shake them loose and go, hey, it's time to get off the sidelines and get into the game. Let's actually interact with you. So, a couple different ways that I do this. Obviously, what we're doing right now, this is one of the methods that I do to connect with podcasters and go, hey, let's actually connect and engage and create content together. But for you, I would actually start with what I call a community engagement lead magnet, where that's what I do with my Pod Pal Zoom parties. So
Right.
At least once a month is where I usually recommend starting out. But this is perfect for what you're doing as you think about crowdsourcing. Like it's like a crowdsourcing mastermind for figuring out opportunities to get a job or level up your job or pivot your job. And you could do this in a lot of different ways, but that's kind of the theme. Like you show up, you're going to show up and level up. Like that's the mantra that I would put out there. It's not just Brendan up there talking about cool things. It's going to be, all right, we're going to have a guest speaker that is going to teach on how to level up your career via LinkedIn connections or something like that, or whatever. So you could have a guest speaker come in. So the basic format is I like 45 to 60 minutes. All right. It can't be a 3-hour deal. People are like, I'm out. And it's not a webinar. There's no sale. There's no, at the end, special deal for the next 15 minutes. We don't do any of that. Like this is all about connection and value add. So no selling. It's not a webinar. It's one of my clients actually named his the unwebinar. Like that's how not a webinar it is. Shout out to James Bryant. The unwebinar. I'm like, I like it. So about 45-ish minutes. I want you to be able to either teach or facilitate teaching through a guest speaker for about a third of that time. All
Okay.
right. And
Like
then,
we're actually presenting and running and things like that. So it's not
yes,
just, yeah.
yes, it's
Yeah.
not open Q&A. Don't do open Q&A. It'll be a disaster. Like that's, trust me.
Because everyone tunes out when it's not their question, kind of a thing,
Yeah. Or
basically.
it'll
Yeah.
just be really random or weird stuff. So my one of my principles with this is like, if you're doing free coaching and teaching, you set the tone, you set the direction, you determine the conversation where we're going, and then we can have open discussion in that lane. People pay you for, let's talk about whatever you want to talk about, like to let them come to you with questions and you help them out with whatever. So you'll set a topic of the week or of the session, teach for about a third of the time, or you have a special guest speaker teach on that, then open Q&A on that topic. So they have access to that speaker. That's why it's cool. Price of admission, again, it's free, but they're going to give you their email address.
Contact. Yeah.
And I want you to star these people because these are your active listeners. And they're like, yo, they want to interact with you. These are your power users. These are your super fans. So like have that tag on your email list where if you have a special deal or discounts, these people will respond to that. They're like, I'm in, or a special session of something or bonus content. Feed these people the good stuff. So they're opting in. There's the open Q&A or open discussion on the through line of discussion that you're setting the tone for. And then the last segment is I challenge my people to have an opportunity for everybody to say something if they want to.
Okay.
So with Pod Pals, I do podcaster speed dating. That's where every podcaster, they get 60 seconds. They got to say what their name of their show is, who they're looking for as a guest, who they're a great guest for, how to contact them. And people do interview swaps. So it's a giant value add. They feel heard, but they show up. Like, what's the irresistible reason why they want to show up? It's not because I'm saying cool things. It's not because I have a special guest on there. Podcasters show up to Pod Pals because they get to pimp out their show on my show and they get all those connections, and they're making interview swap connections. They're getting booked on 3, 4, 5 shows, and people will pay thousands of dollars for that. And I'm setting it up for free. So the real challenge for you, Brendan, is like, what is that irresistible reason? Why do they want to show up? Not just for one, but for lots of these. And that's where you're gonna have to do some noodling on, some brainstorming time on. But like, I've had people, if you can help people make connections, like my friend Dr. Terry Levine, it's all about like, collaboration. Like, what do you have that I could, what pain point do you have that I could help solve, or vice versa, and things like that, or accountability pods, or things like that. That any of those ideas sparking any questions or thoughts?
Well, I mean, like, so when you say not a webinar, does that also mean not a workshop? Like, could people be showing up with like work product that they leave with? Is that kind of the model? Or you
could totally do that. Yeah, just
Okay.
don't sell anything. Like, I just wouldn't like. Yeah,
No, not like that. Not like that. I just think like when the LinkedIn example, right? I feel like everyone has a LinkedIn profile. Only a fourth of us actually have one that is dynamic and gets used. So I don't know if we had our first episode like on that, but everyone walks away with somehow they feel like they've touched their LinkedIn profile, they've improved it, and they've made one more contact. So even if it's like someone that's on the call, they've like added them as a connection, whatever. They practice that networking piece. By the end of this thing, you walk away feeling happy and held.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something that's just that tangible thing. And I like that. If it's like, all right, that really connects that through line all the way there. So you have an expert speaker speak on LinkedIn, and then maybe people ask their questions about LinkedIn, and there's some sort of an action step. Like, all right, now everybody, I want you to go in and we're going to follow everyone else, or we want you to just do like a quick little audit of their image, or that they have their banner image or whatever. And then
their title, whatever it is.
And then make them all commit to something, Brendan. Like, all right, now it's your 60-second commitment. What is the one action step that you're going to do in the next 24 hours? What's the first domino that you can just flick over in the next 24 hours that you're committing to yourself and to us as a group? And then maybe I like this too, because there is follow up, when I do Pod Pals, when they sign up, I'm going to have them identify what they're struggling with. And, I'm pretty open book about all this. I'm like, well, every one of those things on that pain point list that people check or don't check, though, I have services. I have programs, products, and services that solve every single one of those things.
Sure.
So on the follow-up, I'm like, hey, when you signed up, I noticed that you checked this and this. If you want to talk about this, I do have things that solve these problems. Hop on my consult link or whatever. So it's I don't do big salesy things. But at the end of your session, if you are asking for a 24-hour commitment, and then you go, yo, I'm going to follow up with you in 24 hours. 24 hours from now, I'm going to follow up. And then that they're looking for your email. They're expecting it. They're pleasantly surprised when you actually do follow up. And that's when you can go, hey, and if you're struggling with this may be something, I've got this thing that you may want to look at or whatever. So I like that it's just like, I like the fact they're expecting the follow up and they want you to follow up. And that kind of is a feather in your cap that you actually follow through on that. So any thoughts on that kind of whole process?
I dig that process. One of the things we've been wondering is just like platform, right? So Clubhouse, I know, is a space, especially for this kind of model, like works for some people, but obviously that's like, Apple based. I think you do your like Pod Pals is on Zoom. Is that kind of where you even in? So are you using like Eventbrite for people to sign up and then you're taking it all and doing that way?
No, it's super, well, it's not super simple. It is a process. I do have a process, whether you want to call it simple or not. So the basic, map out of this, and I don't think I probably need to do an episode where I just break this down individually, because that would help people, I think, because I talk about this enough. But so when people are like, all right, I want to sign up for Pod Pals, there is a Pod Pals button on my homepage, podcastingbusiness.school. They say, oh, Pod Pals Zoom party. Cool. That's the initial like landing page where it's like, hey, sign up, name, email, get signed up. It's like a get signed up button. Mm-hmm. So when they hit the get signed up button, that, I've got their name and email now on my email list. But that takes them to a thank you page where there is a button that's like, cool, hop on the calendar. And that is my Calendly link at that button. So then, and I like doing that because I make sure that I'm booked out for at least 2 months of Pod Pals Zoom parties. And I alternate the days and times and time zones. So I don't want to get somebody to go all the way to that part of the process and go, oh, damn, like I'm not available on Wednesdays, or that's the middle of the night for me. So they'll see multiple options. Usually one will work and they can book for this one or the next one. And they feel like, all right, I'm in, I'm good. So once they book, then the reminder emails come out and all that stuff. So in Calendly is actually where I list, again, it's like, hey, name, email, again, unfortunately, but here, what are you struggling with most right now? Let me know by checking all that apply, check. And now they're in, and they're in the reminder process. So that's what I do. It works pretty slick. And so that's, if you have the capability to do a email squeeze page, landing page, and then a thank you page with a button to a calendar, that works pretty good for me. Cool.
Yeah.
So I think, like your brand is built for this, because people just crowdsourcing ideas is a good deal. Now, do you have any offers? Like, do you have a membership or anything, or have you thought about doing that? Because this would lead nicely into something like that.
Yeah, we've thought about putting stuff behind like a Patreon subscription, with maybe some premium content, especially if, say, some of our guests have pieces, templates, or other things like that. Maybe we could have tie into their offerings as well. We haven't set anything up like that. I mean, I think what we've seen the most successful is some people that we brought on who are just getting started in this space, are doing a lot of the free consultations in some ways, and then kind of having like an extended like executive or more premium package. We've been kind of resistant to have anything too paid in that way, but I think are trying to figure out like what that could look like.
Well, let's map that out. That's even more fun.
Yeah.
That's even more fun, is actually making money. And I felt a little, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm feeling a little bit of hesitancy for, the monetization aspect. And that's normal for a lot of people. Like, I'm making friends here. I don't want to ask for their money yet, type of a thing. But like if you do this in the right way, and I'm not saying my way is the right way, but it works for me. I'm not a big salesy person either. And I guard like the relationships is really what it is. It's not even
Right.
like an email list. I don't even call it that. I'm like, those are my relationships. Like those are all my friends. Those are the people I've talked to, a lot of those people individually. So I'm very protective of that. So if you approach with that mindset and you go, well, some of these people, my free content will serve them just fine, but others, they need more help. And
Mm.
I can't be spending hours and hours and hours with these people individually or whatever for free. Like this is something that I've walked this journey. I'm actively in the trenches. I'm kind of a people's champion representative of what people are doing or where they want to get to. So I deserve to monetize that experience. And I'm out here doing my thing, and I've got all these resources now. So, that's okay. So that's kind of a mindset, switch that I would encourage you to just look at flipping a little bit there and be like, I can help people go to the next level, and that's going to be our offer. And one way that would be a real nice custom fit for this would be, and this is a newer concept. I don't think I've talked about this on the show yet. You're getting a lot of like hot takes on this one.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I expect big downloads, people listening. Share this one out. Is a multi-person VIP day. I've talked about doing a one-on-one VIP day, like a high ticket, 2,500 4K offer or whatever. But I've got more and more of my individual clients where it makes sense to do a multi-person VIP day. You can call it a workshop, you can call it whatever. And they're going to do between 1 and 4 of these a year, maybe once per quarter, maybe a couple times a year, whatever. But for you, like this just really makes sense to me because it's like, all right, are you looking for a job? Are you looking for a career change? Are you wanting to pivot? Are you wanting to level up within your current career? You could have individual specialized VIP days on those specific topics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you can teach on those. You can have guest speakers come in and teach on those. But you have like, maybe this is the format that I'm helping a lot of my clients set up is like, okay, this is an 8 to 12 seat thing. And the first 4 seats are this price. The next 4 are this price. That way we have a little bit of scarcity. Like don't sit on your butt and think about this forever because the price keeps going up as people sign up. So each time you do one of these, monthly sessions with all these people, that can be one of your follow-up offers is like, hey, we have 7 seats left for the blah, blah, blah VIP day. And if you're really wanting to focus on this or that, then it's a 3-hour experience and we're having this guest speaker and blah 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 blah. I feel like that's a very natural follow-up. It's a value add. It has that built-in scarcity, and then you do what you're best at, and that's curating content, teaching. But it's just, you get a small group like that, 8 to 12, you could be charging. Honestly, I tell my clients, they always want to start like, let's charge $40. I'm like, no, this is like
Put value on it.
197. Yeah.
Yeah.
Minimum 197 a ticket. Probably go. I like the 197 to 497 price escalation zone. And especially, dude, in your niche, you can charge a little bit more because you're teaching people how to make more money or level up in their career. If you can teach people how to save money or make money, you can charge more. That's one of the big reasons I got out of the health space, because people won't pay for health. Like, sadly enough, they're like, I don't want to invest in my health. I want to invest in making money. So you have a lot of things going for you here. So that's an idea that I would encourage you to explore when it comes to that back end offer. And that's something that if you have little specialization events like that, your people, your super fans would do more than one. That's an opportunity.
My mind just goes even talking about specialization. Like we just had someone come on talk about federal resumes, so you could have like that group, and then nonprofit sector, and then like we bringing in recruiters and things like that from these different companies. So it definitely could lend itself to very specific subsets of the conversation that are getting this connection that with the people that we bring in. So that's like a real direct way.
Dude, you just lit my brain up with the recruiter thing. Like, imagine this. you have a 3-hour VIP day workshop and you have people teaching on how to level up in that space. And then you have an actual recruiter show up and they get to pitch. They get to
Yeah.
go, here's the skills that I bring. And he could, you know, that person could be booking interviews with these people right off the back edge of that thing. That's legit value.
It's a
I mean,
full circle. Yeah.
that's giant value. And if somebody, and you come out the back edge of that with a testimonial and they're like, I met with so-and-so and she hired me for a new position and I upgraded by 50 grand per year or whatever. Thanks, Brendan. Like that. That's like, all right. So that, I mean, do you think somebody's going to show up to the next one and pay $500 for that? Hell yeah, they will. So I like the way that we're cooking on this. So honestly, what I would do is spend a lot of time on that offer thought process. What does that look like? Set one out, like set a date, give yourself a few months because you need to, I would say, have at least 3 or 4 of these group, like what I do with Pod Pals.
Yeah.
To pull people out of that, have that offer and go, hey, I haven't even talked about this on the show yet, but we're going to be doing this. You can be a part of our maiden voyage, our beta group, or whatever you want to call it. People love the word beta. I would strongly suggest that because it just seems like I'm getting a hell of a good deal if it's in beta right now. So something like that. And I would just kind of work it backwards and go, all right, now how do we distinguish what we're doing with our freebie get together versus this paid thing? And what are the differences? And then kind of unveil it from there. But I think that it sews together really nicely. And I think it's worth your time to consider. So that sound cool, man?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I like even just the way that it builds into itself. So even for us, as we start this, it's like getting a ball rolling that then kind of develops into it. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And so I would make your call to action once you set a date for the paid thing, then start setting dates for your free monthly get together.
Yeah.
And make that your sole call to action on your show for several episodes in a row and just pimp that thing out and be like, you got to show up. You got to show up. You got to show up. This is going to be amazing. We have big things in the works. And you may even do just a quickie episode that breaks down what it is, why it's going to be cool, what you can expect, just to make a big damn deal of it. And I think that will get your people fired up. Now, all that being said, the first one, I want you to have at least 5 ringers in those seats. The like people that owe you $5 that like, they will show up. These are clients, these are colleagues, these are family members, friends, whatever, just because you need to release one of these as an episode and get it out there. And people go, oh, wow, this was really cool. I should have shown up. And then you sponsor that episode with the link to sign up, for the next time that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it'll start to just fill up and, 10 years from now, you'll have your empire of helping all these people. So yeah, I think that it's a solid batch of ideas we cooked up today. Before we jet, let's make sure everybody that's listening in knows how to get into your world, how to get into your brand, check out your show, all that stuff. So go ahead and do the shout out there, Brendan.
Yeah, appreciate it. And we kind of kept it consistent. It's Will Work for Podcast. So if you're looking for us on email, willworkforpodcast@gmail.com, Instagram, LinkedIn, we have a website, also willworkforpodcast.org. That's us. That's our space. LinkedIn is our main feed right now. So come comment, give us a message, connect. We're down to support anybody. So
nice. And it's the number 4. This is the number 4 everywhere?
The number 4. So Will Work, the number 4 podcast. See, this is when you have a co-host, that's his bit. And I don't have it off the top, but that's funny.
Will Work, number 4 podcast. All right. Well, everybody, if you want to do a podcast audit, just like Brendan, go to the main website, podcastingbusiness.school, get signed up. There's a bit of a wait. Brendan had to wait a few weeks to get in. So make sure that you get on that list before it fills up for the entire year, and you'll be a sad little podcaster. But I'm excited to do these. I love doing them. I'm all fired up now, and my wife told me I can't create any more podcasts or offers, so I just enjoy sharing, dispensing all the ideas to you all out there. So, Brendan, I appreciate you, man. I think you got some great things cooking here. And for everybody out there, I'm going to send you out, like always, wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you next time.